Well, good day, valued safety partners and residents of Ontario. Welcome to Technical Standards and Safety Authority's 2021 Annual Public Meeting. I'm R.J. Falcone, Chair of TSSA's Board of Directors. Chers partenaires de sécurité, chers résidents de l'Ontario, bienvenue à l'Assemblée publique annuelle de la TSSA. Je suis R.J. Falcone, président du Conseil d'administration. Now, before I continue with the proceedings, I'd like to acknowledge that all of us today are joining from different locations and that we're on traditional territories of many diverse First Nations, Inuit and Métis peoples. Hundreds of years after the first treaties were signed, those treaties are still relevant today, and we at TSSA are grateful to live and work on this land and would like to show our respect for the contributions of Indigenous peoples and recognize the role of treaty making in what is now Ontario. If you're interested in the continuous improvement of public safety in the province, you're in the right place, and your presence here today, albeit virtual, is a clear indication of your commitment to creating a safer Ontario with us. We appreciate your diligence and support of our mission. So I'm pleased that you could join us as we celebrate TSSA's safety successes of the past year. And we'll also be sharing some of our future plans towards becoming a more modern, outcome-based regulator that takes a risk-informed approach to safety oversight. And this afternoon, we're delighted to have Mr. Robert Bailey, Parliamentary Assistant to the Minister of Government and Consumer Services, with us to say a few words. And you'll also hear an update on TSSA's modernization transformation from TSSA's President and CEO, Bonnie Rose. And then a little later in the meeting, we'll answer your questions about our safety initiatives. And then finally, we'll shine the spotlight on the remarkable winners of our 2021 Safety Awards. Well, but first, you know, this wouldn't be a TSSA annual public meeting without a safety moment to kick things off. This is a cherished tradition we embrace here at TSSA, and safety moments begin all of our large meetings, further ingraining a safety mindset into the culture of our organization. And, well, since this is Fire Prevention Week, we would like to share an important safety message from the Fire Marshal of Ontario, who's challenging all Ontarians to get loud this week. So let's take a look.
Hi, I'm John Pegg, Fire Marshal of Ontario. This Fire Prevention Week, we want you to learn the sounds of fire safety. I'm challenging you to get loud by testing your smoke and carbon monoxide alarms today and every month. Show yourself and your family testing your alarms and post it to your social media channels. Challenge your family and friends to do the same. Use the hashtag #GetLoud.
That's it, get loud. So I hope everyone will take the Ontario Fire Marshal up on his challenge, because regular testing of smoke and carbon monoxide alarms will help you and your family stay safe. Now, I have a few quick housekeeping notes before we proceed. To ensure the efficient flow of this meeting, all attendees are only in listen-only mode. And to turn on closed captioning for this event, just hover your mouse over the video player and click on the CC icon in the bottom right of the video screen. Before and during the question and answer period, you're going to be invited to type your questions for us into the text box on your screen. And please note that a recording of today's annual public meeting will be made available on our website at tssa.org after the meeting concludes. You know, as Ontario's technical safety regulator, TSSA is mandated by the Government of Ontario to implement the Technical Standards and Safety Act and its associated regulations. Now, to do this effectively, all levels of TSA staff, including myself and the board, work cooperatively with representatives from the Ministry of Government and Consumer Services to develop and deliver policies and initiatives that create safer environments for the public, while reducing unnecessary burden on responsible businesses. And this past year, both TSSA and the Ministry made incredible progress to improve safety and to modernize in several areas under TSSA's purview. In the Operating Engineers Program, for example, Ministry-approved alternate rules to the regulation were launched. The alternate rules offer the option for a risk-based approach to achieving safety at Ontario's plants. And another significant milestone for Ontario this past year was the Minister's lifting of the exemption that was previously in place for agricultural boilers and pressure vessels. And so as a result, equipment used for agricultural purposes must begin to comply with the boilers and pressure vessels regulation. However, of all the government-led initiatives this past year, the Ontario public will most likely see the direct impact of the new elevating devices regulations that will enhance elevator availability and safety. Among other advancements in this area, we'll move to collecting elevator outage data in residential buildings and reporting it online. So essentially, this means Ontarians will be better informed about the availability of elevators when they are making decisions to buy or rent a home in a building. Now, we are deeply appreciative of the level of engagement between TSSA and the Ministry, which is absolutely critical to the mounting progress we're here today to celebrate. Now, Ontario, you might have heard, has a new Minister of Government and Consumer Services, the Honourable Ross Romano. Now, he began serving in this capacity in June and is already showing an incredibly strong commitment to public safety. So I really look forward to working with him and his team. But I'd also like to say a special thank you and farewell to the former Minister of Government and Consumer Services, the Honourable Lisa Thompson, who showed a strong commitment to our mission and success through her active involvement in our portfolio over the past 2 years. Now, unfortunately, Mr. Romano is unable to join us live today, but here representing the Minister is Parliamentary Assistant to the Minister, Mr. Robert Bailey. So, je suis heureux de maintenant céder la parole à Monsieur Bailey. Mr. Bailey, I am pleased to introduce you to say a few words.
Well, thank you, and thank you, Mr. Falcone, for that kind introduction and those kind words about the Ministry of Government Services. I've been with 4 ministers since 2018, and they all showed a great deal of responsibility and eagerness to see the TSSA succeed, and I know Minister Romano will do the same thing. And I also enjoyed your safety talk. I came from industry before I got elected a number of years ago. I worked for a company you'll all know, Nova Chemicals, well known in Ontario and across Canada. And we never started a meeting of any kind without a safety talk. And so kind of took me back to my industry days. But anyway, as the parliamentary assistant to the Ministry of Government and Consumer Services, I'm excited to join you on behalf of Minister Romano at your 2021 annual public meeting. Though I only get to join you virtually, I know that everyone that is participating today is as enthusiastic as I am about this great celebration. First, I'd like to acknowledge TSSA President and CEO Bonnie Rose. Your leadership, wisdom, and can-do approach to spearheading and overseeing safety initiatives in Ontario for the past 3 years plus have contributed greatly to CSA's sectors. And I hope to have you back to Sarnia again. I'm sure you remember it was one of your very first trips when you had taken over the TSSA, and you made a big impression on the local business community and the contractors at that time who had some issues, and you resolved them, because I don't get any more phone calls from them. So I know you resolved them, and that meant a lot to me. To Mr. Falcone, your chair of the TSSA, congratulations on a successful track record of guiding your board of directors through this vital work the past 2 years. My hat goes off to you as well. And to TSSA's advisory council chairs, thank you for leading each and every one of your councils and providing the TSSA with your experience and expertise. Your input is instrumental in helping the TSA meet its goals as it is as that of your own council members. I also want to take a moment to thank and acknowledge all the members of the TSSA's Board of Directors, your TSSA staff, and all stakeholders from the TSSA's regulated sectors. I appreciate your ongoing work and dedication to public safety in Ontario. And I'd especially like to commend all the recipients today of TSSA Safety Awards and offer you my hearty congratulations on this much well-deserved recognition. The COVID-19 pandemic has tested us in a myriad of ways and still continues to do so today. But throughout it all, you've remained steadfast in your commitment to honoring your safety mandate. I want to thank the TSSA employees who work on the front lines each and every day, who have continued their inspection and safety work throughout the course of the pandemic. And it's been noticed by the ministry and by the government as well. I also want to express my gratitude to the TSSA for partnering with the Ministry of Labor, Training and Skills Development at the outset of the pandemic to support COVID-19 workplace health and safety inspections. Minister Romano and I have had the opportunity to see firsthand TSSA's agility, flexibility, and cooperativeness in helping deliver upon our promise to put people first in the areas of consumer protection and public safety. Safety touches the lives of each and every Ontarian every day. And for over 2 decades, we have been in good hands thanks to the TSSA's tireless work to promote and enforce safety in Ontario. With a mandate ranging widely from fuels and elevators to amusement rides and ski lifts, TSSA has consistently delivered on its commitment to educate consumers and enforce public safety laws on behalf of all Ontarians. Public safety is one of our government's top priorities. Minister Romano and I recognize the importance of TSSA's mandate to protect the public safety and our oversight role and responsibility for legislation and regulations. We are committed to protecting public safety and to continuing to build a culture of safety for Ontarians in every corner of this great province. That's why our ministry is actively working with the TSSA to continue making significant progress in implementing the remaining recommendations made by the Auditor General in 2018 and identifying sections and actions to safely reduce burden to ensure businesses in regulated sectors will also remain competitive. I know that TSSA has our ministry's support as it works to implement its strategic plan in the coming year, and as it continues to transform to an outcome-based regulator and adapt to its new business model and fee structure. Minister Romano and I look forward to working together with you to deliver continued protections, real results, and peace of mind that Ontarians expect and deserve. It's a pleasure to join you today. I wish the TSSA a productive and successful year ahead. Thank you very much. And again, I thank you for the invitation here today on behalf of the minister.
Well, thanks so much, Mr. Bailey, and we appreciate your comments and absolutely look forward to working with the ministry on future initiatives. TSSA's Safety and Risk Officer, Angela Byrne, plays a really essential role in Ontario's safety ecosystem because she independently reviews and assesses the administration of TSSA's public safety responsibilities, and she reports directly to the Board of Directors. Now, this past year, Ms. Byrne has been assessing the accuracy and clarity of the safety data that we collect and analyze. And the board and I were pleased to accept her recommendations for actions to strengthen our data quality, which is essential for our ability to become an outcome-based regulator and for that transformation. Now, some of the results of Ms. Byrne's recommendations can be seen in our improved public safety report for fiscal year 2021. It's currently available on our website at tssa.org. Now, when an organization has a strong purpose and employees are truly invested in its vision, certain behaviors and outcomes are clearly evident. Now, operating for the second consecutive year under pandemic conditions that have tested each and every one of us, our employees did their utmost to achieve the targets set out in the 4th year of our strategic plan. Now, their accomplishments were the key components of our outcome-based regulator strategy. Our strategy addresses long-standing stakeholder concerns with the introduction of a new business model and by enabling better risk-informed decisions supported by the Phase 1 launch of a comprehensive new IT solution. So on behalf of the board and the people of Ontario, I'd like to thank TSSA employees for their unwavering commitment to making this province a safer place for all of us to live, work, and play. As chair of the board of directors, I have the distinct honor and pleasure of working alongside talented individuals from all walks of life. We're connected by a common goal of creating safe environments for our communities. Now, the unfortunate and eye-opening revelations of the past year have shown us the importance of diversity, equity, and inclusion, especially as these elements relate to fostering safe communities. Last year, the board and I set a goal to configure the board's membership to better reflect the diversity of the province and adequately represent our stakeholders and the public. Almost half of TSSA's board of directors are women. And while we still have work to do in the area of board diversity, we are changing the makeup of our board and demonstrating board diversity is an achievable goal and one that TSSA can be a leader in. Because we know diverse boards yield better decisions, and we're committed to continuing to pursue talented experts with unique sets of skills and perspectives to enhance our board membership based on a broader definition of diversity beyond gender. I am pleased now to formally introduce you to TSSA's board of directors. Brian Chu, who's also our vice chair, Michael Lees, Peter Marcucci, Elaine Pitcher, Kathy Bailey, Marnie Dicker, Connie Graham, Glenn Pedassery, and Susanna Robinson. I'd also like to welcome our newest board members, Andrew Badeau, Tracy Smith, and Jim Keach. Unfortunately, we are saying farewell to Brian McQueen and Debbie Heiser, whose expertise we will miss dearly as they move on from TSSA. And we also said goodbye to Kristen Carmichael-Greb earlier in the year. So I'd like to thank Kristen, Debbie, and Brian for their leadership while serving on the TSSA board. Looking back on the past year, TSSA's delivery of critical public safety programs in the midst of COVID-19 lockdown restrictions clearly demonstrates the level of commitment of the professionals who work here and the executive team that leads them. The recent recognition of TSSA's President and CEO Bonnie Rose as one of Canada's top women in safety in 2021 appropriately reflects the remarkable work done by Ms. Rose and her entire team. C'est avec grand plaisir que j'invite maintenant Bonnie Rose à partager certaines des réalisations principales de l'organisation au cours du dernier exercice. So it is with great pleasure now that I invite Bonnie Rose to share some of the organization's key accomplishments from the past year. Bonnie?
Thank you, RJ, for your kind introduction. You and the entire board have been instrumental in TSSA's success this past year. And on behalf of the executive leadership team and all employees, we truly appreciate the board's strong leadership and continued support of our strategic plan. Today, I'm pleased to share the results of some of the key initiatives that drove the progress we have made this past year as we continued our transformation to an outcome-based regulator. I'll also give you a preview of some of TSSA's upcoming initiatives to look forward to. Shortly thereafter, we will open up the lines for your questions. And finally, we will conclude our annual public meeting with a celebration of our 2021 TSSA Safety Award winners. Each one of us at TSSA shares a common interest in the well-being of the people of this province. We are invested in our communities, and we are committed to continuously finding more efficient and effective ways to collaborate with our safety partners and regulated clients. We are dedicated to delivering our organization's mission of enhancing safety where people live, work, and play. It is for this reason we embarked on an ambitious multi-year journey to transform into an outcome-based regulator. The status quo just wasn't an option. As technologies advance and behaviors change, TSSA must evolve to provide safety services that are both preventative and responsive today and in the future. By design, TSSA's strategic plan guides our organization to reduce the potential for harm to the public and provide ongoing value to our stakeholders and the people of Ontario. We are taking a risk-informed approach to safety oversight by using data to better understand risk and to more precisely target the highest risk. Our ultimate goal is to use our data-informed evidence, technical expertise, and strong partnerships to achieve more positive safety outcomes for the people of Ontario. Essentially, this is what we mean by becoming a modern outcome-based regulator. And to ensure we successfully complete our transformation across all of the industries that we regulate, we are extending the timeline of our current strategy from 5 years to 6. Having just concluded year 4 of our outcome-based regulator transformation on April 30th, I couldn't be prouder of the employees at TSSA who have been dedicated to meeting the goals we set out to accomplish even under the most challenging circumstances. While the COVID-19 pandemic has had an immense impact on us all, TSSA employees have demonstrated time and time again this past year that their commitment to public safety outweighed any challenges that threatened to stymie our progress. I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge and thank TSSA team members who are at the heart of the accomplishments that I'm pleased to share with you now. As TSSA enhances its safety service with improved risk analytics, compliance support for our regulated customers, and an emphasis on reducing high risk, our business model had to change as well. Much of the past year was invested in consultation with stakeholders in preparation for a fundamental change in TSSA's business model. We officially transitioned from a fee-for-service structure to a flat fee model on May 1st. Our new business model is revenue neutral for TSSA and more appropriately scaled for small businesses and operators of smaller, simpler devices. With predictable fees and fewer invoices, the new model also reduces the administrative burden for responsible, regulated customers. Perhaps the most momentous achievement of the past year for TSSA was the launch of the first release of our new integrated IT solution called Oasis. Rolled out in stages, this comprehensive system will provide TSSA with real-time, trustworthy data that will serve as the foundation for timely authorizations and informed, risk-based decision-making, the hallmark of an outcome-based regulator. Release 1 was focused on the boilers and pressure vessels and operating engineers safety program and included functions to support a web-based customer portal and centralized scheduling, among other features. Fiscal year 2021 also saw the development of an oil and gas pipeline oversight program for the fuel sector. The program includes documented compliance standards to inform pipeline operators of their safety priorities and requirements to reduce risk. It also comprises a safety intelligence framework that takes a systematic approach to data collection and risk analytics that are directly tied to safety outcomes. It's a huge step forward for TSSA's outcome-based regulator transition in the fuel safety program. On the topic of fuel safety, since fuel-related incidents in private dwelling continue to be a concern, TSSA was also focused on public awareness and educational initiatives designed to change user behaviors. Last year's fuel safety campaign zeroed in on the risk involved with carbon monoxide in the home, patio heaters, seasonal flooding, and illegal contractors. TSSA will continue to educate Ontarians and collaborate with industry partners on future safety strategies and awareness initiatives. The development of sector-specific compliance standards is an essential element in TSSA's outcome-based evolution. Compliance standards identify high-risk issues and requirements, allowing TSSA and industry members to focus on reducing the highest risks in the province. Having compliance standards in place further emphasizes the responsibility of regulated stakeholders and also provides consistency in TSSA's inspection. With input from stakeholders, TSSA established compliance standards for escalators and ski lifts this past year based on risk found through inspections and incident history. We expect to begin using these compliance in fiscal year 2023 with the third release of OASIS. This approach will be extended to all the technologies we regulate. The Operating Engineers Safety Program also moved towards more modern risk-based regulatory oversight with the introduction of alternate rules. Alternate rules are provided for certain requirements of the Operating Engineers Regulation, including plant staffing, certification time, and electronic logbook requirements. They provide a different approach to achieving safety compliance at Ontario's plants. Plant owners and operators may now opt in to operate under one of two new alternate safety paths that take into account technological innovations, or they can remain subject to the current regulations by default. This suite of changes also includes a new flexible pathway for operating engineers to achieve certification in this critical profession. As an organization seeking to constantly enhance our safety impact and operational effectiveness, we are aware that much of our efforts must be focused internally. As part of our strategic plan to become an outcome-based regulator, one of our key goals is to further the culture at TSSA to one of accountability, teamwork, and leadership. I'm proud to report that we've made great strides in this area. This past year, we put a performance management framework in place to align employee goals with our strategic plan and to help keep our transformation on track. Since then, I have personally had conversations with our stakeholders who tell me that our concentrated shift to being a more collaborative and support-focused regulator is really starting to become apparent in our external interactions. I must say it is very reassuring and rewarding to hear this feedback, and we're committed to further improving the experience of our regulated parties and better meeting the needs of the people of Ontario. Promoting diversity, equity, and inclusion, or DEI, is also an important part of TSSA's cultural transformation. This past year, we launched some initial DEI initiatives, including the formation of an Inclusion, Diversity, Equality Alliance as part of a multi-year strategy to ensure DEI is embedded within our workplace and broader business practices. In contrast to the difficult events of the last year, it's been warming to see TSSA employees come together to take action on improving diversity and inclusion. Without a doubt, the momentum to fully realize our outcome-based regulator transformation is growing throughout our organization, and the achievements I've shared with you demonstrate our commitment to deliver on the objectives we set out each year. I invite you to review TSSA's most recent annual report online at tssa.org for a more detailed overview of our accomplishments. It has been quite a year operating under pandemic conditions, and we worked collectively to keep employees safe while continuing to provide valuable services to our regulated clients, many of whom in turn provide essential services to the people of Ontario. In March 2020, TSSA put its business continuity plan into action and developed principles early on to guide our ongoing COVID response. We closed our TSSA offices to the public, and many office employees began working from home. We also distributed personal protective equipment to field staff to help keep them and those we visit safe. Due to a significant unanticipated drop in revenues caused by the pandemic, in early 2020, we had to undertake many actions to help address the financial deficit. With many TSSA-regulated sites under lockdown, we had to make the difficult decision to temporarily reduce the size of our workforce. While TSSA management and the board of directors also took pay reductions, we continued providing employee benefits during the period employees were off work, and all employees were called back to work within 6 months. We also searched for opportunities for our employees during this period. We were proud to partner with the Ministry of Labour, Training and Skills Development to communicate COVID-19 safety guidelines to Ontario workplaces. The opportunity for us to serve in this capacity gave our field team members the training ground to learn more about education-based inspections as we moved full steam ahead to advance our transformation to an outcome-based regulator with a more support-focused approach to regulatory oversight. TSSA has had quite a few noteworthy safety advancements in each of its regulated areas, including a process for more timely adoption of national codes. Our statutory directors perform an important role in advancing safety. At this time, I'd like to acknowledge our team members who hold public safety statutory appointments on behalf of the Province of Ontario. Roger Neat, Elevating and Amusement Devices. Ajay Ravel, Boilers and Pressure Vessels and Operating Engineers. Sam Sadeghi, Fuels, and Phil Simeon, Regulatory Policy. I would also like to take a moment to thank John Marshall, our previous Fuel Safety Stat Director, who retired from TSSA last year after 14 years of safety service to the people of Ontario. Please join me in thanking our statutory directors and their teams for their dedication and ongoing commitment to safety. I would also like to take the opportunity today to report that we have made substantial progress addressing the Auditor General of Ontario's recommendations from the 2018 Value for Money audit. Since the report was released, we have effectively addressed each of the Auditor General's 17 recommendations for TSSA. While 67% of the recommendations are fully implemented, the remaining recommendations are in progress. Many are tied to the rollout of OASIS and other initiatives that are part of our transformation to an outcome-based regulator. We are continuing to build on the progress we achieved last year. In our current year, fiscal 2022, the 5th of our 6-year strategic plan, TSSA will implement the second phase of our new business model, which involves enhancing the authorization process to improve our ability to track and follow up with those who may be operating illegally and with owners who do not renew their licenses in a timely manner. This supports responsible regulated stakeholders by leveling the playing field. We will also launch Release 2 of OASIS, which will integrate our fuel safety program area into the new IT solution and provide us with more real-time, trustworthy data with which to make informed decisions. As RJ mentioned in his opening comments, last year we worked with the Ministry of Government and Consumer Services to lift the regulatory exemption previously in place for agricultural boilers and pressure vessels, and on changes to the elevating devices regulation to enhance elevator availability and safety in Ontario. This year, we are working on the implementation of these regulatory changes and are collaborating with stakeholders in these sectors to ensure they understand their new safety responsibilities. Fiscal year 22 will also see us develop compliance standards for passenger elevators. Stay tuned in the coming months as we prepare to roll out these and other enhanced safety initiatives. Our risk-based and collaborative approach promises to make the greatest impact towards a safer Ontario. To learn more about our upcoming safety goals, you can access our fiscal year 22 business plan at tssa.org. As President and CEO of TSSA, I am very fortunate to have my role reinforced by a passionate and dedicated executive leadership team with their specialized skills and talents that support the management of our day-to-day operation and strategic priorities. I'd like to introduce you now to Tom Ayres, Vice President and General Counsel, Dan Brazier, Chief Financial Officer, Alexandra Campbell, Vice President of Communications and Stakeholder Relations, Laura Desjardins, Vice President of Human Resources, Nashir Jawani, Interim Vice President, Operations, and Celso Mello, Chief Information Officer. Thank you all for leading by example to ensure we maintain a workplace environment with high morale and quality performance here at TSSA. TSSA has 9 advisory councils with members who dedicate their time and expertise to improving safety in every corner of the province, while providing input and insight on TSSA's initiatives, like the achievements and goals I've just highlighted for you. I can't thank advisory council members enough for volunteering your time to give us input and share your advice. Now, I would like to introduce you to the chairs of our advisory councils. Cindy Cipher, Amusement Devices; Joe Adams, Boilers and Pressure Vessels; Ray Dolmage, Consumers; Kelly Leach, Elevating Devices; Brent Francis, Liquid Fuels; Martin Limas, Natural Gas; Rod Phillip, Operating Engineers; David Karn, Propane; and Kevin Nickel, Ski Lifts. Our success is informed by these individuals and their colleagues who bring their industry expertise and passion for public safety to the table. Now I would like to open the chat for your questions. Alexandra will moderate.
Thank you. And just a reminder for people watching, you can submit your questions through the chat. And as if we were live, ask if you could put your name and your affiliation. So we have had a couple questions come in, and we have time for a few questions. Bonnie, one of the questions is, why did you need to change the fee structure to become an outcome-based regulator?
Well, the Auditor General and many of our stakeholders told us that our old business model was incenting us to inspect or over-inspect. Changing the new business model was really fundamental to outcome-based regulator, because it enables us to fund and offer offerings like compliance support, data analytics, risk-based analysis, to ensure that we really are targeting our resources effectively where they add the most value, and also reducing burden on the sector by reducing the number of inspections.
Thank you. Another question has come in. Could you please provide an update for TSSA inspectors' unionization and its impact on TSSA mandate?
Sure. Well, our inspectors made a choice this year to be represented by a union. We will continue to work with the union and negotiate in good faith, and we don't anticipate it's going to have any impact on public safety.
Another question has come in. What is TSSA doing to reduce the number of people working illegally without a proper TSSA license?
Oh, I love that question. So what are we doing to stop? We're doing a lot to stop people who are operating illegally. We talked about the new business model and the fact that we're using that, as leveraging that for lapsed authorization. So we're actively pursuing people who aren't licensed and asking them to either license or shut down. We run a trunk slammer campaign, and we actively prosecute people that we find who are operating illegally. And I believe we've also done public awareness campaigns on Kijiji to raise awareness that people should be looking for licensed contractors.
Thank you. Just a reminder, if you want to submit a question, you can do it through the chat. And we have a question. Why is TSSA transforming to an outcome-based regulator? What really does it mean for regulated businesses?
Outcome-based regulator really means that we are going to use data and risk information and evidence to really focus on the harms, and then pick the right tool that is the most effective at reducing that harm. And we believe that over the long term, we'll have better outcomes, which means we'll make people in Ontario safer, we'll reduce harm, while also reducing burden on the sector.
Thank you. This is the last question before we move on to the safety awards. Has TSSA addressed all of the Auditor General recommendations from the 2018 report?
Oh, I'm really pleased to say that the Auditor General, in her follow-up audit to 2018, announced that we had completed 67% of the action plans to address the recommendation. We will continue to address the remaining recommendations over the next few years. Many of the remaining ones are tied to our OASIS and strategic plan. That's it? All right. Well, thank you, everyone. When it comes to enhancing public safety, industry plays a critical role in collaboration with TSSA and the Ontario government. That is why TSSA continues to acknowledge the special individuals and organization within our regulated sector who make significant contributions to improving safety conditions for Ontarians. TSSA's annual Safety Awards is one way we bring attention to industry and community leaders. Our first award recipient, Socrates Furtado, was selected for a TSSA Individual Impact Award for his commitment to making safety job number one at Greater Toronto Airports Authority Cogeneration and Central Utilities Plant. He consistently looks for ways to raise the bar on maintenance and safety protocols. Please enjoy these video highlights of our Individual Impact Award winner in action.
Now, this facility that I am here, it is basically owned by the Greater Toronto Airport Authority. Okay, the facility has got two unit plants, like one is providing heating and cooling to the terminals, and the other one is providing power. Basically, I've been the chief operating engineer from the time 2006. I joined just after the plant went commercial. One thing I always believe is that if you have to have an accident-free workplace, right, it can only exist if your team is really motivated and committed. I take it very seriously, because especially even at home, even operating a lawnmower or even climbing a ladder up to remove the leaves on the roof, you tend to sometimes in a hurry try to do things, but that is which even here we learned is a step back and think that what you are doing forward is correct. So using this thing at workplace and all, you tend to get confidence and you try to do that even without thinking twice. So I'm extremely honored for receiving this TSSA Safety Award for 2021 and grateful that TSSA has recognized my leadership and dedication at workplace on safety. Because safety has always been a priority in my life from the time I started my career as a marine engineer and now as an operating engineer. So I'm very much proud to share this award with my work team because of their loyalty and continuous support over the years. Because this, not only for me, but for everybody, motivates to achieve higher goals. And I think that this kind of award should be presented to deserving people. Thank you.
Now Socrates will say a few words.
Thank you, Bonnie, for your kind words. I'm overwhelmed with gratitude to have been selected to receive TSSA's 2021 Impact Safety Award. Thank you all so much for joining me to celebrate this occasion today. I'm aware that there could have been many others equally deserving nominees, but I'm grateful to Pearson Airport Authority for nominating me and above all TSSA for selecting and recognizing my achievements towards safety at the cogeneration and utilities plant. This accomplishment is not something that I did alone, but with the support and encouragement of my team at GTA and SNC-Lavalin, both organizations that have a proactive safety culture. Finally, I take pride in sharing this award with my work team, and going forward, this award will motivate us to achieve higher goals in safety improvement. Thank you all once again.
Congratulations, Socrates. We will be mailing out your award today. Our second award winner, Andre Meyer, won a TSSA Individual Impact Award for taking safety training to a higher level at Quality Allied Elevator. Dedicated to personally leading night training classes, he increased awareness of the all-too-real dangers that can occur without proper safety measures in place. Watch this video to see why Andre received top TSSA honors this year.
Quality Elevator is primarily a maintenance company, so we do all maintenance-related tasks. We also modernize elevators. It is potentially, I like to say potentially, one of the most dangerous jobs out there. There's always moving parts, spinning parts, working at heights, pinch points, and those are the dangerous parts. And if you work safely, which is hopefully what I'm teaching everybody, then this is the safest job out there. The enemy is complacency a lot, or time pressures, where everybody thinks they have to do things faster, take shortcuts, or they just become complacent because they've done this hundreds of times maybe. I don't look at it so much as training, because training is something, here you go, you have to do this, follow this, but I want to teach them so they understand every building is different, every mechanical room is different, the problems are different, everything that comes up is different. So it's a teaching more than a training, I think. To me, winning this safety award means that I'm doing my job properly. I see the people go home every day. I have friends that I've worked with for 30 years now in the trade. Everybody goes home safe. It's satisfying that people, or that my coworkers, recognize that I am doing all this work. Be alert, be aware of how you do your job, when you do your job, and go home safe.
Congratulations to you, Andre. We will be mailing out your award today.
Well, thank you. I would like to thank the TSSA and the Safety Awards Committee for honoring me with this TSSA Impact Award. I would also like to thank my coworkers at Quality Elevator for nominating me. In my bio award, it says close to the bone. This refers to 2 serious on-the-job injuries we had a few years ago. I am committed to making safety the top priority at Quality Allied Elevator, both for my coworkers and for the public that we work with every single day. Thank you.
Thanks, Andre. Both Socrates and Andre's stories exemplify everything that TSSA stands for and demonstrates the important role we can all play in contributing to a safer Ontario. Now our board chair will conclude this year's AGM with a few closing safety sentiments. RJ?
Thanks, Bonnie. Well, congratulations to all of TSSA's Safety Award winners. Your work is absolutely inspiring. Thank you for going above and beyond your business requirements to make Ontario safer for all of us. Nous vous remercions de votre présence aujourd'hui. Comme nous le savons tous, la sécurité est une responsabilité partagée. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. As we all know, safety is a shared responsibility, and TSSA brings together the expertise of many safety partners to strengthen our safety ecosystem. We look forward to continuing our work with all of you to enhance public safety for the people of Ontario in the coming year and beyond. Thank you very much.